Welcome to Tits and Giggles. I have my man with me today. You know,
Hey.
he always wants to know about this alter ego that I have, because I told him this is just girl talk, but for some reason, you know, he happens upon my podcast where I'm talking about taking down the patriarchy and all that stuff. So we're out driving around, and I was like, babe, I'm going to introduce you to my Tits and Giggles audience, where I talk about whatever. Dicks.
My audience.
How do you feel about me talking about dicks, babe?
Speak your mind.
He lets me, long as I'm on his dick, he doesn't care about the other dicks. Yes, I do happen to love his. But anyway, yeah, so we're just introducing you to the world, my love. The people out there, so they know I'm not just some jaded woman that just hates all men. I happen to love one, my husband. And just everything. What do you think about the patriarchy, babe?
I have a different philosophy on it, although
What is it?
I don't deny that there is elements of patriarchy that do exist.
Okay, what is your philosophy?
I mean, you gotta select the subject. I mean, it's hard to just say in general.
Do you think men should tell women if they can have an abortion?
No. A woman's body should be her decision.
Okay, this is a hot topic with him. What about toxic masculinity?
No such thing.
And why do you say that?
Because if a man is truly masculine, he is not toxic. But there are toxic men who try to act masculine. And they're just toxic, hurt men out there who abuse and cause pain, and that's not masculinity. That's just toxic men, period. Like, if a woman, let's say there's an abusive mother out there, we don't call that toxic femininity. That's just a toxic mother.
I mean, I do agree that, you know, I've had a top podcast on toxic femininity, and I do think women are toxic. I happen to believe that women are toxic because of men. I think that a lot of women, like, stab each other in the back or do things to each other because of trying to please a man.
I think that's one reason they do it, but I don't think it's the only reason they do that. They are capable of just being broken individuals inside and just are miserable and want to cause misery and pain to other women.
I agree. I mean, for me, I do believe in toxic masculinity as well, though. I think that some dudes are just, you know, I always tease my husband. I always tell him, like, he has a bit of chauvinism in him. Every man, I feel like, does to a certain extent. Where y'all, you know, y'all are the stronger man part, you know, is, you know, you don't like me to do all male things. Like, for instance, if I were to clean up his garage, he does not like that.
No, I do not.
I mean, he has, like, his territorial man brain thing that sometimes does affect some things. But for the most part, there are some guys that just do view women as sex objects, as
those aren't masculine men. Those are toxic men.
Well, that's why they say, like, I mean, no, I agree. The title, do you have a problem with the toxic masculinity, or do you think it should just be called toxic men?
Toxic men, toxic people, I mean, bad people, whatever you want to call them. But putting masculinity there puts a stigma on masculinity itself. And then now people are watching men who are masculine, good men. They're like, okay, any minute now he's going to take his masculinity and become toxic. No.
What do you think society is teaching? Like, for instance, Elijah, my son, for instance, he said he doesn't feel like he's that masculine because he was on the football team, and so they felt like he should be more angry and aggressive. Do you think that's what makes masculinity, or no?
No, it does not. Although male aggression is a part of masculinity, but that's a whole nother subject, because the term male aggression has a negative stigma to it, even though it's extremely necessary, and we've been surviving off of it. But there are toxic men who are aggressive, and they use that aggression to abuse and hurt people.
True, and the whole, like, what do you think about the whole men don't cry, because you were brought up that men shouldn't show emotion. And I can say my husband's never cried. He swears he does, but I've never seen him, and I've been with him for 8 years.
As far as men go, we're taught basically we're supposed to give love, but we're not to be loved. That's what we're supposed to do.
I mean,
so
do you
to
feel...
be loved means you'd have to accept us even when we're broken and emotional, and society just did not accept us like that, or we're soft, or failures, or weak. So we're not allowed that luxury, truly. Although I mean, there's a lot of people that be like, well, it should be this way. I think men should cry and men should tell their emotions, but society does not allow it, period.
I also wonder, so if men did start showing their emotions, I think the new generation is better at it because they are kind of raised to show their emotions versus your age. I don't even think you could put words to your emotions because you suppressed them for so long.
Well, we're not taught how to talk about them or deal with them. We're told to, if you cry, go cry alone.
Right.
And then get it over with and then come back when you're done. That's it. We're not taught how to deal with it. We're not even taught how to talk about it. We're not taught what to do with them.
Oh, what do you teach your son? You have a young son. What do you teach him? Because he shows emotion. He
does, and I try not to suppress him. I do want him to be able to, exercise his emotions. But at the same time, I know this society and our culture will not be forgiving, and he cannot do that to the point to where he cannot perform. So if you got to go to the, I hate to say it, but I'm still teaching him, if you have to go to the other room and cry, go ahead and do that, let it out, come back when you catch your breath. I'm not going to tell him you're wrong. His feelings are not wrong. It's just what do you do with those feelings?
Well, you can't really be vulnerable in front of... Unfortunately, as much as society say, cry, be this and that, we do still live in a society where people frown upon that. They frown upon you showing your feelings aren't valid, especially if they don't know you. You're considered soft or whatever. Some people are just freaking hateful.
Put it this way. If you and your wife are laying in bed and you hear this sudden sound in the kitchen, and you shriek, like, what was that? And your man shrieks along with you, what was that? Now there's a problem. The last thing you want to see is your man feeling his fear emotion and, shrieking with you.
You are afraid of wasps.
That's a whole... Don't even try. Anyway.
He is afraid of wasps and mayonnaise. So those are the times where I can get him. No, I agree on that. But I do think there's toxic masculinity. I think that some dudes, and then I don't think it's just, I would agree maybe not to say masculinity, I guess the definition of masculinity, but there are toxic...
Let me ask you, what is masculinity to you then? If there's a good masculinity and a toxic masculinity.
Masculinity to me is just like, for what I would like and what do I consider toxic? Is that what you're saying?
Just
I consider masculine,
good masculinity from toxic masculinity?
Well, being masculine obviously is like a estrogen / testosterone thing. Like, you are a man, you're more hairier, you're more stronger, you're more... physicality of that. Now, where it becomes toxic is, for instance, as a woman, if I walk by and you grope me because you are a man and I'm supposedly provocative or something like that, that's toxic.
Yeah, but that's not masculinity. That's perverted male.
But in society,
disrespecting a female.
But
that has nothing to do with masculinity.
But some people wouldn't consider that disrespect.
That's the confusion about it.
And that's why it gets labeled toxic masculinity.
Exactly, which does not exist.
Same like you're in high school, same like a girl gets felt up or looked under her dress or whatever. What do you consider that? Just being a pervert?
Disrespectful pervert who disrespects women, and he has no respect, he has no courtity, he has no empathy. He moves off his own impulse and violates a woman's personal space and her person.
I think that's what in society they're considering toxic masculinity. Just
well, by that, but see, that's the danger of it, because if say a woman has an abusive boyfriend and he beats her, they call that toxic masculinity, and that's not masculine. That's just an abusive male beating on a weaker person.
I agree with both sides of it. I see why society came up with like, oh, because you're masculine, don't think because you're a man you should be allowed to do this and that. Same with men telling women you can have a baby and all that. So we'll go back to the questions of like what men should do. Should men be able to control what their wives wear?
What do you mean control with the wife?
Like, for instance, we know that you don't like me outside, and
well, as men, in general, we're your protectors.
Are you protecting me from a toxic man?
From harm, from picking up something heavy and hurting yourself. We still want to protect you from that. That's masculinity. True masculinity. And some women are offended by that. I get it. They're like, don't tell me what to do and all that. And we're not. A masculine man is not trying to tell you what to do, but he's trying to protect you from all the other elements that are trying to do something to you. And that's where the confusion happens.
I get that. And
a lot of women cannot understand the reason of our protectiveness. I mean, we're like, don't wear that when you go out, especially in a room full of men or something like that. That's not trying to control you. That's trying to protect you. On top of that, other men out there who as men, we don't trust other men, especially with our women. And that's not to control the woman, it's to protect her from those men in many ways, from being stared at, thought of a certain way, seen a certain way, or even to the point of physical disrespect. And there's a million things that run through our minds that could possibly happen when our woman, or a woman that we care about and love, even daughters, that could happen to them, and we want to jump in front of that harm. Like I said, even if a dad tells his daughter not to wear that, that's not him controlling his daughter. He's protecting his daughter in all ways he can. That's still masculinity, although some people try to label that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I see both sides. As being a woman, I want to respect you as your wife. Obviously, pretty much everything I do, I run past him because he's my partner. So I want to make sure that he's comfortable. Even from this podcast and the things I talk about on it, that was one reason why I wanted to bring him on here. But also, because of his assurance in me in our relationship, he is okay with me expressing myself. Now, does he want me outside in a swimsuit? Like, never. But sometimes, like, if I'm going outside to throw something away, he's gonna have to just deal with it because it's 2 seconds of my life. And I get it. I get both sides. But as a woman, we do get tired of like being policed. We get tired of being like, I can't just, I have to wear a bra all the time. I have to this and that. Like,
the flip side of that coin is when a man really truly cares and loves about you, his protection does not have an off switch.
I get it.
We can't turn it off.
I get both sides. But sometimes
you're my whole world, and I'm going to protect you even when you don't like it.
Yes.
And that's but at the same time, then someone will see that and label me toxic masculinity.
Right.
See?
I see both sides. Like I said, I do think that, like, as much as they say we progress, we are still dealing in a country where they want to tell us if we can have a baby or not. If we can, pretty much how we have sex, who we have sex with, even down to controlling our birth control. Even in school, girls have their skirts measured. Did you know that? Like, your skirt can be a certain inch above your knee or whatever. Well, for me, happen to be tall, that's mostly everything I've ever worn. So I've always dressed very like a older lady because I didn't want to show my body. I developed super early in life. Unfortunately, girls can't control their hormones and how they develop. And yeah, I just want to go out and wear a tank top. Well, to society, they might like, dang, why she's out here like that? But it's just like me being, it's hot. But I can't because of society. So on the same token, it's like, you can be free, but on the same token, don't be too free. It's all control. Like women, we're so policed from what we wear to how we talk to how we. And sometimes we do just want to be like, burn our bras and freaking be in the street.
The truth is, females are the keepers of sexuality. Period. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why men chase women, not women chase men. Although there could be a debate today. Mm-hmm. But in general, that's why men chase women and not women chase men, because you guys are the keepers of sexuality. We go to you for it. You don't come to us for it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you guys are more policed than guys, because you guys are the keeper.
So that's why they come.
I'm not saying it's right. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that is why.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that is very true. This has been a very enlightening topic. It's a hot topic. It could go on and on and on and on, and it does a lot in my house, like just with what's going on in the world to anything. So I'm glad you joined me today, hon.
Happy to be here.
On Tits and Giggles.
Tits and Giggles.
You guys have a happy Saturday, and let me know, like, what do you guys think? Is toxic femininity, toxic masculinity? Let me know. All right, happy Saturday. Tits and Giggles, signing off.